Good morning. You're watching Irish Inquiry, and this is Breathing a Better Life. This is going to be a month-long show where every morning at 9 o'clock, we're going to look at the techniques around conscious breathing, how this can help each individual, how it can help bodily health, how it can help relieve stress. And it's very fitting that we should be starting today. Today is the first day of spring. Lá Éile breathe, a day for new beginnings. And a breath, conscious breathing could be a new beginning for all of us. It's interesting to note that breath is the most vital element to our health and well-being. There's the famous rule of threes, which dictates that man can, or woman can live without food for 3 weeks. You can live without water for 3 days, and you can survive without oxygen for 3 minutes. And yet, despite this being such a vital component of our well-being, the vast majority of us walk around on a daily basis completely unaware of the inhalations and the exhalations that we're making, unless we find ourselves in some incredibly stressful situation where our breath rate increases rapidly. So, we're going to be joined on a daily basis by people whose work involves conscious breathing, teaching workshops, looking at the health benefits. And today I'm joined by Maria Connolly. Maria has been a teacher of the Wim Hof method since 2015, and she has incorporated this into her wider work, which involves helping people to deal with the daily stresses and strains of living, and also as a way of growing consciousness. So welcome, Maria. How are you?
Hi, Kieran. Thank you very much for that introduction.
You're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. So look, to start off, why don't you tell us a little bit about your story? I mean, how did you get involved in this line of work?
Yes, so I've always kind of had health problems. I was adopted from Romania as a baby. I was adopted from an orphanage, and just under the first year, I was adopted, but I didn't get any of the, I suppose, the right nutrients or the right care or anything like that that a baby needs. So that in turn keeps your immune system running very poorly, and I ended up suffering some autoimmune diseases then as I got older. Autoimmune diseases like psoriasis, arthritis, very mild ulcerative colitis, and that didn't really seem right for a young person to be dealing with. So I always looked into, I did go to the hospital for years, to specialists, but I never found any kind of relief from them. So I kind of took my health into my own hands and, really tackled the health issues with nutrition. I became a nutritional therapist, and I also became a Wim Hof instructor. Nutritional therapy looks at things very holistically, including emotional trauma that you might not kind of remember from being a child or a baby. And so the Wim Hof method really addresses them kind of underlying issues that you don't realize that you're carrying in your body every day. Basically, the trauma or the emotion is stored in the body, and one way or another, it needs to be expressed. So my thing was expressed physically through the autoimmune symptoms. But what the Wim Hof method kind of teaches you is that you can really go deep within and find what that is, really address what's going on. And during the breathing, you can actually kind of feel whatever is going on in your body. The trauma, it kind of releases. The breath, your breath is brought to anything that needs to be fixed, if you like, in your body. It also gives you that kind of like awareness and consciousness to really give you the energy to change your life and to do the things you're actually supposed to be doing. So during the training in Poland in 2019, before I went with the arthritis, I was on like a walking stick. I could hardly walk with the arthritis. And the week-long training was amazing, really, because I was advised not to go, but actually during the training, all the symptoms were reversed. As I said, I could hardly walk, and here I was, walking up Mount Nishka in the depths of winter snow, just in shorts and a bra, and just using the breathing exercises and concentration. So that really kind of like blew me away, the power of the method and the mind as well, the commitment that you bring with it. So yeah, it really has changed my life, and I just love to share the method with loads of people. Anyone that will.
That sounds like a remarkable turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
And given what you said about the traumatic kind of environment of your early days, one of my great inspirations is an American writer, Jane Roberts. She passed away in the 80s. And she was a renowned psychic. She channeled an entity called Seth. And Seth absolutely maintains that any condition that we find ourselves afflicted with, either afflicted with or any situation we find ourselves enjoying with, it's all a direct result of our beliefs about ourselves.
Yes, absolutely.
So if we accept that as a reality, your own arthritis, your own conditions were brought about by your beliefs in the nature of life that you were exposed to as an infant, and obviously a very traumatic type of experience. So will lead to beliefs that will support the whole notion of trauma.
For sure.
So how do you feel that your exposure and your involvement with the Wim Hof method actually helped you to change that belief structure that allows you to release the arthritis in particular? I mean, that is remarkable. And in the space of 4 or 5 days or a week, you go from requiring a walking stick or a crutch to actually being able to walk normally. That is amazing. So what was the mechanism? What was the whole action that happened there, do you think?
Well, the mechanism is that, I suppose, it how would you say, is so the Wim Hof method, during the breathing, you're kind of like pulled each way in your immune system. So most people that are suffering chronic illnesses are usually living their life in sympathetic nervous system state. So that means like your flight and fight state constantly. And what the Wim Hof method does is kind of bring that back into balance. So during the breathing, you're bringing it into the sympathetic nervous system state, that's the fight and flight, and then you're bringing it into the parasympathetic nervous system state, which is the rest and digest. So when you learn how to manipulate them two states of your nervous system, you're able to essentially heal your body, because it's like giving your nervous system a workout. And what you're doing is actually increasing your white blood cells, the cells that fight kind of pathogens or viruses or inflammation in the body, and it reduces it. So at that time, yes, I did heal them symptoms. But then when I went home, they were still coming and going. And what you said, Kieran, just hit the nail on the head. It's your belief. So I had to do some more work on like my subconscious belief pattern about myself or about things, and kind of dissolve any of them that programming that wasn't serving me. Until I did that, that's where the real healing started.
That is amazing. I came across the Wim Hof method about six months ago, I'd say. My partner Alicia, one of her twin daughters, did a Wim Hof workshop a weekend, because she lives in Amsterdam, so she did it in Holland, and it sounded interesting. And I'm a great believer in synchronicity and serendipity. And since hearing about it from Renee in Amsterdam, we both, Alicia and myself, found that Wim Hof started entering our lives in terms of we would meet somebody who would have just read his book or was thinking about doing the technique. So we went out and bought his book about 10 days ago, and I've been doing the cold showers every morning now since yesterday week. And also I meditate every day myself, but I've now incorporated his breathing exercise, the standard breathing exercise, into my morning routine. And I have to say that my energy levels are absolutely increased. I mean, we were out walking the dog at 7:15 this morning.
People's energy levels just kind of go through the roof when they start practicing this, as well as their sleep gets better. And, you know, we kind of know now that sleep is kind of one of the most important, if not the most important, kind of aspect of health, because when you sleep, your body is going into recovery mode, into that rest and digest state that I talked about. So doing the Wim Hof method actually allows you to have that kind of restful, restorative sleep. And yes, there's so many benefits: increased energy, as I said, better sleep, better athletic performance as well, because it kind of gives the optimal amount of energy in the cell to be able to produce the right amount of energy that's needed. Unfortunately, most people are energy deficient in their cells, and they don't realize it. You can also digest food better with it. It's amazing for mental health issues, depression, anxiety. People have found serious relief from the mental health issues. So it's really amazing.
That is incredible. And given the situation in which the world now finds itself, I think that it is of paramount importance that people find tools that can actually help them deal with the stresses that have been imposed on them by the lockdowns, by the amount of negative news that's been presented by mainstream media. And what struck me about discovering the Wim Hof was that the breathing and the cold showers are essentially just a means to an end, because what's coming across from his writing is the fact that we are spiritual beings, that we are beings with a soul, that informs the absolute totality of what we are. And we need to reconnect with that, because by reconnecting with that, we will all regain our own individual freedom. We will know what's right for us. And what I like about him too is that he's saying that, like, there's no right way or wrong way really to do this. Find the way that works best for you.
I'm glad you said that, Kieran, because until people connect with every part of their being, their body, their minds, and their soul, you're not going to really get that profound level of healing, in my opinion. So, as I said, we are spiritual beings in the human body, and you know, the Wim Hof method actually allows you to connect with that. It's quite amazing. And sorry, just to kind of as well go back to the points of stress and anxiety. When people are experiencing that, the breath can just change that in a matter of seconds. So what's happening is, when people are suffering anxiety, they're breathing into their chest, shallow breathing. And what we are supposed to be doing is breathing from our diaphragm, from the belly up to the chest, and then Wim Hof will say up to the head as well. But yeah, the shallow breathing is really like putting your body in that really stressful sympathetic nervous state. So just be really conscious of what way you're breathing. Even if you can just, during the day, concentrate on breathing through your nose and make sure the breath is coming from the belly. Essentially, you shouldn't be opening your mouth unless you are talking or eating. Some of the Wim Hof methods, the breath is through the mouth, but that's just the short-term exercise to get more oxygen into the body.
Yeah, there are a lot of the classic texts, particularly the Vedas and the Indian texts, and also from ancient Chinese writing, which kind of recommend specifically that we breathe through the nose wherever possible. That the fact that continuous breathing through the mouth can cause massive imbalance within the body. So in terms of the Wim Hof technique, you're saying that the mouth breathing is just used specifically in the exercises only.
Yeah, and there is an option to do it through the nose as well, whatever you're comfortable with. Maybe beginners, if you've never done it before, maybe I'd recommend at least one round just through the nose, because there is different sensations breathing through the nose and the mouth.
Okay, so what exercise? Because I know when we finished talking, you were going to bring people who have logged on to join in a private tuition session, and details for that will be available on the Irish Inquiry Facebook page, and also will be on the screen. You can log in there, give your email address, and you will receive an invite to join in the session that you're going to do this morning. So what will you be running people through? What are you going to be doing?
So I'm going to run people through 3 rounds of the Wim Hof method breathing. So do you want me to explain exactly what the process is for that already, or?
Yeah, sure. There's no harm to explain a little bit. Yeah, fire away.
Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is talk about safety, because you can actually pass out during this method. So make sure when you're doing it, you are ideally lying down. And if you can't lie down, make sure if you're sitting, you can fall somewhere safe, that you're not going to hit your head or anything like that. But that's
if I could ask a question, why might people pass out?
So just your levels of oxygen and CO2 are kind of like going up and down, and it might make people feel pretty lightheaded, and they could pass out. Now that's very, very rare that will happen. So what I'm going to advise is let's make sure that doesn't happen. And what Wim Hof always says, and our instructors are always trained, don't force. So if you feel like you're going too lightheaded or like you're going to pass out, just slow down the breath or stop and start again. So don't force. So the first part of the breathing is a type of very, very deep breathing, and you can increase this based on how you're feeling and what your goals are. So, as I said, your breathing should come right from your belly up to your chest to your head. So when you breathe in, your belly should actually expand. Most people, when they're breathing, their belly goes in instead of out. So you want to push your belly out when you're taking the breath in. So I'll just try and demonstrate here to see if you can see it better. Belly. So when you breathe in, see the belly goes out. I'd recommend people just try that themselves to see if they can push the belly out when they breathe in. Okay, so first part.
That will do no harm to get whoever is going to join in to actually focus on that, so they become aware of it. So when you actually start the session, they're able to focus on your instruction rather than on just exclusively on what they're doing with their body. Yeah,
exactly. The next part, so you want to be kind of breathing like a wave. So if I can get people to kind of experiment now and pretend like you don't have a belly, and then when you breathe in next time, just expand the chest. Let go. Breathe in and expand the chest. So you'll see my chest move there. Let go. So a full breath in the Wim Hof method way looks like this. I'll stand up again. So breathe in, your belly goes out, and then your chest. Belly, chest. And let go. It's like a wave, really. Some people do have trouble with that, and in the actual physical workshop, I have to kind of sit with them and put my hand on their belly and their chest to kind of separate the two and then link them both up. But for this, I hope people will be able to get it. And if not, just try and breathe in as much as you can. But don't stress yourself out. So when you breathe in, don't go like where everything is like really stiff and stressful. So just do it as gently as you can. And you're just letting go. So when we're letting go in the breath, we're not actually breathing all the way out. We're just letting go. Let the body go. Just relax. Surrender to that breath. Let go. So we're going to do that breath for about 30 or 40 times. And you will feel pretty lightheaded, especially if it's your first time. And at the end, now I'll guide you through, so you don't need to worry about counting or anything like that. At the very end of the 30, 40 breaths, you're going to take the last breath. So you're going to breathe all the way in like this. Then you're going to breathe all the way out. Empty the lungs until there's no air in them. So remember, we weren't breathing all the way out before, but in the very, very last breath, we breathe all the way out, and make sure you're emptying the lungs. Empty it out nice and slowly so there's nothing left. And then after that, you're able to hold your breath. Just stop breathing and hold your breath. Now, for beginners, you can hold your breath for different amounts of time, but you might be able to hold your breath for at least 30 seconds, a minute. Some people are even a minute and a half, but if that's your first time, you won't really be aiming for that. So just stop breathing, and then when you feel the urge to take a deep breath in, you take a deep breath in, and you hold, squeeze through the head for about 10 seconds, and you let go. And don't worry if you can't remember all that, because I'm going to be guiding you through it.
If I can ask a question, Maria, there. Are there any particular physical ailments that would actually stop people from being able to practice the Wim Hof method?
Good question. So if you are epileptic, I always find that hard word to pronounce, or pregnant, I wouldn't advise taking part in it.
Okay. So that's a very sound piece of advice.
Heart problems as well is a bit of a red flag. People with heart problems can do it, but just take it easy and also consult your doctor just to make sure it's okay. We don't actually say that people with heart problems can't do it, but they just need to take a bit more care.
And you would advise anybody with the heart condition who was maybe intending to get involved this morning, if they haven't actually checked out that situation with their doctor, would you recommend that they just leave it alone for today?
I mean, as I said, the Wim Hof method does allow people with heart conditions to do it, but they really need to be conscious about how they're feeling and take it easy. Depends on the type of heart condition as well. So if it's kind of like serious chronic heart disease, I would consult the doctor before taking part, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we have primed the viewers as to what they can expect.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're ready, Maria,
okay,
we will now
little stopwatch going.
Hand over to yourself, and everybody who's joining in, just breathe, enjoy, relax.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you see me, Kieran?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we'll start by taking the first breath in to the belly, all the way to the chest, and let go. So we're going to repeat this cycle. Belly, chest. If you can visualize coming up to the head.
Maria, your camera is frozen.
Oh, is it?
Okay, you're back.
Okay, belly, chest, head, let go. Breathe into your belly, bring it up to your chest, into your head, let it go. Belly,